I've always taken pride in keeping my cool, even when life delivers me the most infuriating individuals. Perhaps it's the way I was brought up. Perhaps it's simply survival instinct. Either way, I've perfected the smile and grin through clenched teeth technique. In the workplace, I'm the one they call when a client's having a fit, because I can lock up frustration and wait for the storm to blow over. But Victor Grayson, my neighbor, is pushing all the limits of my patience. Victor is the kind of person who believes the world should wait for its bouquets just because he's here. Talking to him is not conversation, it's monologue, generally about his last expensive purchase or gripes about the neighbors. I smile, I nod, and I escape. I'm likely the only resident on our block who has not lost it at Victor, but don't mistake that for friendship. I simply like to keep peace. I live modestly, drive a humble car, and let him think he's better than me. That is easier. So when he swaggered over and declared he was replacing the old crooked fence dividing our properties, I wasn't shocked. I even volunteered to share the expense. On the proviso, we keep it humble. Victor sneered, dripping with condescension. Keep your money, Ethan. You can see that you need it for essentials. I'm paying, so I decide. I clenched my teeth. If he wished to finance a vanity scheme, that was his concern. But when the new fence was installed, I arrived home to a horror. It wasn't in the place where the old fence had been. It bisected a third of my property, right up against my house, reducing my land and making his look enormous. I was livid, and I went after him. "We need to discuss this fence," I blurted out, just keeping it together. Victor just smiled. "Looks great, don't it? Cost an arm and a leg." "You put it on my property," I told him. He dismissed it. "Stop being melodramatic. It's only a few feet. You told me I could do whatever I wanted." I wasn't melodramatic. I was stolen from. But Victor did the victim act, acting like I was being hysterical. Even had the audacity to propose we begin sharing my driveway now that his fence now skimmed along it. I didn't get angry. I plotted. I found the fence company and pushed until they owned up to the fact that Victor had paid them bribes to construct without a survey or a permit. I retained a lawyer, secured a signed confession, and took it to the local newspaper. In a town where a new stoplight is cause célèbre, the story blew up. Victor, true to form, doubled down in the press, claiming I didn't need the land and that his wealth justified the takeover. He even pointed to my car as proof he deserved more. But the community saw through it. He became a neighborhood pariah. Under pressure from the law and public embarrassment, Victor finally gave in. He would take the fence down and pay for a new one, on the proper property line. I could have selected the most costly design to drain his wallet. Instead, I chose the cheapest, ugliest fence money could buy. Because some wins don't require gold trim, they only require justice. I've always been the type of person that remains calm, no matter how infuriating life, or some people, can become. Perhaps it's where I was brought up. Perhaps it's instinct for survival. Whatever it is, I've learned how to smile with gritted teeth, particularly around individuals like my ex-neighbor, Victor Grayson. Victor was the type of person who believed the world should give him applause just for being here. Every conversation was an ego show. He'd brag incessantly, complain about everyone, and demand admiration. I remained diplomatic and courteous. I wasn't his friend, but I wasn't his enemy either. So when he said he was replacing the deteriorating fence between our yards, I volunteered to split the expense. "If we go cheap, I'll pay half," I told him. Victor smirked and said, "Keep your money, Ethan. You could use it more than I can. I'll pay, so I get to decide." I dropped it. If he wanted to throw his money away for control, that was his prerogative. But when I did see the completed fence, I was amazed. He had constructed it way into my property, occupying almost a third of my land. When I confronted him, he shrugged. "Just a few feet," he said cavalierly. "You told me to do what I wanted." I was shocked. Rather than losing my cool, I went into strategy mode. I found the fence company and threatened them with a lawsuit. Victor had paid them off. No survey, no permits, just cash. With photographic proof and that admission, I brought the story to the local paper. Victor doubled down in front of the public, saying I didn't need the land and that his wealth meant he deserved more. But the people in my community saw through him. Neighbors turned against him, and his reputation disintegrated. Under threat of a lawsuit, Victor acquiesced to the fence's removal and the cost of a new one. Of my selection, on the correct line, I selected the least expensive, most hideous one I could locate, and it drove him crazy. Soon afterward, he left town, pursuing a job abroad. We all recognized that he was fleeing the shame. That was a sweet victory, but not my first such experience with betrayal. I became pregnant at 16. My boyfriend, Nathan Carter, vanished the instant I informed him. His family took him away, protecting their star college athlete in the making. My parents stood by me, but it was my choice, and I opted for adoption. Through them, I met a couple who couldn't have kids. They were wonderful, encouraging, and assisted me with completing high school and paying for medical care. I gave birth, didn't hold the baby, and saw his new mother hug him. It felt right. Over the years, I've remained in his life as a special aunt. He knows I'm his biological mother, but his parents are his real family. He's happy, and I've never regretted my decision. Today, I'm 32, married to Daniel, a 44-year-old divorcee with two children, 19 and 16. His ex-wife, Laura, is still part of our lives, and we've become close friends. I'm not trying to replace her. I'm just another adult who loves her kids. I am close to my stepson, particularly since our pets passed away at the same time. He refers to me as his other mom. So when he had to have anesthesia for a medical procedure, and Daniel and Laura were both working, I drove him myself. Later, as I assisted him into the vehicle, a physician approached me. "I've been thinking of you and our son." I stood there immobilized. It was Nathan, unrecognizable in 16 years. He mistook my stepson for our boy and began a monologue about regret and lost opportunities. I cut him off right away. "This is not our son. I gave him up for adoption. I'm a stepmom now." My sleepy stepson even grumbled, "Other mom," which nearly made me chuckle. Nathan was incredulous. I would not provide him with the contact information of the adoptive family and walked away. But he didn't leave it alone. He tracked me down online, writing duplicitous posts, claiming that I had abandoned him and our child, presenting himself as a victim. Some of his family members joined in, saying I was a bad mother and a poor Christian. I'm Jewish, by the way. My old classmates defended me, and it turned out that Nathan once boasted about having dropped me. Nevertheless, others claimed that I was wrong not to have told him about the adoption. But I didn't owe him anything. He made his own decision. Our 16-year-old son finally learned about it and asked to talk to Nathan. I consented. The discussion came to nothing. Nathan wanted the title of father, not the duty. My son severed contact and assured me I remained his special aunt. Later, I agreed to go meet Nathan for coffee. Daniel accompanied me for backup. Nathan had flowers and chocolate-covered strawberries with him, like a date. I quickly shut that down, introduced Daniel, and told him I was married and happy. Nathan confessed he had been aware of the adoption process, but opted for college instead of fatherhood. He glanced at me and my stepson and idealized a fantasy family. Then he inquired if I'd ever abandoned Daniel. I laughed in his face. "You're a coward," I said to him. "You disappeared while I sacrificed prom, graduation, and a typical teenage existence to have your baby. You don't get to rewrite history simply because you're isolated now. Daniel heard it all and complained to his hospital about Nathan's cyberbullying, with screenshots. Nathan's deleted tweets were brought back to life by old school friends bullying him, and I reached out to people who reminded me that I wasn't the only one. Nathan's been quiet since. Daniel's been smugly brilliant ever since, and we're even discussing having a baby together, a circle of events I never saw coming. Occasionally, revenge is sweet without being overt. Like when I was given a Valentine's Day table that was supposed to be someone else's, presumably a man who'd looked up my Google Voice number. Rather than graciously calling to cancel, I waited until the evening and canceled at 5:55 p.m. A no-show somewhere destroyed someone's date night. Happy Valentine's Day, Palo Tacos solo. And then there is my friend Sarah, whose grandmother passed away in 2022. She'd given her grandmother a $200 gold-wrapped jade necklace. Her abusive stepfather, Greg, had sold it the next day, saying that everything in the room belonged to him. While he was away, Sarah struck. She submerged his new computer in the bathtub, donated all of the kitchen things she had purchased, microwave, pantry, dishes, and stored her own belongings away. She also reported Greg to his employer with evidence of the theft. His world fell apart. And Sarah? She became vindicated because sometimes the most paltry acts of rebellion can serve up the most glorious hit of revenge.